Late afternoon sunlight slants through the quiet suburban street, warm and ordinary, the kind of calm that feels undeserved. Ethan Hale stands in his kitchen, half listening to the hum of the refrigerator, when his phone rings. His father's name flashes on the screen, Richard Hale. They haven't spoken in years. Not since the argument that burned every bridge between them. Ethan almost lets it go to voicemail. Almost. When he answers, his father's voice isn't angry or bitter. It's thin, trembling, stripped of authority. No greeting. No apology. Just fear. Ethan, before your wife gets home today, I need you to check under your daughter's bed. Ethan laughs reflexively, the sound sharp and dismissive, masking discomfort. Richard doesn't react. He breathes unevenly, like a man standing on the edge of something irreversible. Please, he whispers. Just look. And suddenly, the house doesn't feel as quiet as it did a moment ago. Ethan tells himself it's nonsense. Old age, guilt, paranoia. But then Richard starts talking again. He describes the house. Not vaguely. Precisely. The narrow hallway leading to Lily's room. The small crack in the doorframe near the carpet. The way the bed sits too close to the wall. Ethan's laughter fades. Richard knows Marissa's schedule, the exact time she pulls into the driveway, the 15-minute window before Lily's bath. Ethan's stomach tightens. Memories surface uninvited. Lily clinging to his leg at bedtime, begging him not to leave. Her sudden fear of shadows. The nights she wakes up screaming without explanation. Marissa brushing it off. She's 6. It's just a phase. But Richard's voice cracks when he says, she's not sleeping alone because she's scared of the dark. Silence stretches between them. If you don't look, Richard says softly, you won't forgive yourself. The call ends. The house feels heavier. Watching, Ethan stands outside Lily's bedroom door, hand hovering inches from the knob. The house is still, too still, like it's holding its breath. He tells himself he's humoring an old man. Nothing more. Lily's room smells faintly of soap and crayons. Her bed is neatly made, stuffed animals lined up like silent witnesses. Ethan kneels, his knees pressing into the carpet, heart pounding so loudly he's sure it can be heard. He grips the edge of the bed skirt, hesitates, then pulls it back. The space beneath the bed is darker than it should be, swallowing the light. His breath catches. Something is there. Not a toy. Not a forgotten shoe. Something placed deliberately. Something that does not belong in a child's room. Ethan's vision blurs, his mind refusing to process what his eyes are seeing. Outside, a car door slams. Marissa is home. Cut to black. Ethan Hale is the kind of father who shows love through responsibility rather than warmth. He works long hours as an insurance claims investigator, convincing himself that providing stability is the same as being present. His childhood taught him this equation. Richard Hale raised him with discipline instead of affection, rules instead of reassurance. Praise was rare, mistakes remembered forever. Ethan promised himself he would never become that man, and yet, in avoiding conflict, he may have become something else entirely. He attends Lily's school events, pays attention to her grades, ensures her future is secure, but struggles to read her silences. When she clings to him at night, he hesitates, unsure whether comforting her will make him weak or intrusive. Ethan has learned to swallow instincts, to smooth over tension, to keep the peace at any cost. He believes stability requires sacrifice. What he doesn't realize is that silence can be as dangerous as cruelty. Marissa Hale moves through the world with practiced ease. She's articulate, charming, and admired, the kind of woman people trust instantly. As director of a local nonprofit, she's praised for her compassion, her dedication to children, her leadership. At home, she runs the household with the same efficiency. Meals are scheduled. Bedtimes enforced. Emotions managed. When Ethan raises concerns about Lily's behavior, Marissa responds calmly, logically, dismissing fear as imagination, anxiety as weakness. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't have to. Her control is subtle, surgical. To outsiders, she's the ideal mother, attentive, organized, endlessly patient. But behind closed doors, she dictates reality itself, deciding what matters and what doesn't. Lily's fears are inconvenient. Ethan's instincts are irrational. And Richard's accusations? Proof of a broken man projecting his sins. Marissa believes order is love. And anything that threatens that order must be corrected. Quietly, Lily Hale notices everything. She watches adults the way some children watch storms, carefully, silently, learning patterns. She has grown quieter over the past months, retreating into herself, avoiding eye contact when certain names are spoken. At night, fear crawls into her chest, unnamed and unbearable. She refuses to sleep alone, not because of darkness, but because of what darkness hides. And then there is Richard Hale, the man no one listens to. Years ago, he accused Marissa of something he couldn't explain properly, something that made Ethan choose distance over discomfort. Richard's past mistakes made him easy to dismiss. Paranoia was the word they used. Instability. Bitterness. But Richard knows what silence does to children. He recognizes withdrawal. Fear. Compliance disguised as good behavior. Ethan chose peace. Richard chose truth, and lost his son because of it. Now, the cost of Ethan's hand trembles as he pulls the duffel bag into the light. It's small, black, carefully tucked against the wall, hidden, not forgotten. Inside are a few folded clothes, toiletries, and a pair of men's shoes. Not old. Not dusty. Definitely not his size. His mouth goes dry. Then he sees the phone. Cheap, cracked, deliberately unremarkable. A burner. As if summoned by his touch, it vibrates softly in his palm. One message lights up the screen. She said you'd be gone by 6. No name. No context. Ethan's brain refuses to catch up. He checks the timestamp. Today. Minutes ago. His pulse roars in his ears as the realization slams into him. Someone has been inside his house. Inside his daughter's room. Close enough to hide their life beneath her bed. Outside, the familiar sounds of the neighborhood continue. Laughter, passing cars. Utterly unaware that something malignant has already crossed the threshold, Dohat choice is coming due. Every instinct in Ethan screams to call the police. To confront Marissa. To tear the house apart looking for answers. But another instinct, quieter, older, holds him still. Certainty first. He slides everything back under the bed exactly as he found it. His movements slow, deliberate, as if the house itself is watching. Over the next hours, Ethan becomes a stranger in his own home. He watches Lily carefully, the way her shoulders tense when footsteps approach, the way she glances toward the hallway before speaking. He watches Marissa too. Her smile never falters. Dinner is normal. Her questions casual. Too casual. Ethan checks the security app on his phone. The cameras are offline. Disabled. Marissa had suggested turning them off weeks ago. Privacy, she'd said. Now the word tastes bitter. Ethan realizes he hasn't been absent. He's been managed. And whatever is happening didn't begin today. Today is just when he finally noticed. Long after everyone is asleep, Ethan sits alone in the glow of his laptop, scrolling through archived security footage. Days blur together. Nothing unusual. Routine comings and goings. Lily playing. Marissa leaving for work. Ethan returning late. Then he notices it. A gap. One full day missing from the timeline. Not corrupted. Not glitched. Deleted. He checks again, hands sweating, heart pounding. Yesterday's footage is intact. Tomorrow's system logs are clean. Only today is gone, erased with intention. Ethan leans back, staring at the screen, the weight of it crushing his chest. Someone didn't just enter his home. They knew where the cameras were. They knew when he'd be gone. And they knew they had time. Ethan finally understands the truth he's been avoiding for years. Peace was never safety. It was permission. And now, whatever Richard tried to warn him about has already begun. Ethan begins to feel watched, not by someone hiding in the walls, but by the people closest to him. Marissa's concern sharpens into control. When he asks questions, she reframes them as accusations. When he expresses fear, she calls it stress. You've been working too much, she says gently, hand on his arm, voice laced with reason. You're projecting. She reminds him of his father, unstable, obsessive, and suggests therapy, time off, medication. The words are kind. The effect is corrosive. Ethan starts doubting his own reactions, replaying conversations to check if he imagined the tension. Lily grows quieter. Her drawings change, faceless figures standing too close to a small girl, a tall man with no eyes looming at the edge of the page. When Ethan asks what they mean, Lily lowers her voice and whispers, Mom says secrets keep families together. The sentence lands heavier than any scream. Ethan realizes the danger isn't loud. Its systematic sleep fractures Ethan's mind into fragments of past and present. Memories surface, his father standing in the doorway years ago, eyes sharp with something close to desperation. Richard had been a building inspector once. He spoke about structures the way doctors speak about bodies: hollow spaces, weak points, places where rot hides unseen. He warned Ethan about false walls and access points that don't show on blueprints. At the time, it felt like rambling. Now it feels like prophecy. Ethan starts noticing details he once ignored: vents placed oddly, a section of wall that sounds hollow when knocked, faint scuff marks near the baseboards. Marissa dismisses his questions with a smile. Friends echo her concerns. "You're spiraling," they say. "You're becoming your father." Ethan wants to believe them. He wants the problem to be inside him. But Lily flinches when footsteps echo overhead. And fear that deep doesn't come from imagination, Ethan finds the crawlspace by accident, a loose panel behind stacked storage boxes in the garage. The opening is narrow, intentional, concealed with care. Inside, the air is stale and warm. Too warm. His flashlight catches impressions in the dust: flattened insulation, a discarded bottle, a folded blanket shoved into the corner. Someone has been there. Recently. Someone small enough to stay hidden. Panic claws at Ethan's throat as the realization locks in. The house was never just a house. It was a hiding place. When he tells a friend, they laugh it off. When he shows Marissa, she cries, not fear, but exhaustion. "This is what I mean," she says softly. "You see monsters everywhere." The world sides with her. Ethan stands alone, sanity slipping through his fingers. But then Lily takes his hand, gripping tight, eyes wide with terror. No words. Just undeniable truth. Whatever is happening is real. And it's still happening. Ethan tells Marissa he's leaving town for a 2-day conference, even packs a bag, kisses Lily goodbye, plays the role she expects. He waits until nightfall, then circles back, parking down the street with the lights off. The house looks peaceful from the outside. Normal. He enters quietly through the garage, heart hammering, phone recording. Every step feels unreal, like he's walking through someone else's nightmare. Then he hears it, a door creak upstairs. Footsteps. A man emerges from Lily's room, adjusting his jacket, moving with the confidence of someone who has done this before. Ethan freezes. The man steps into the light. Recognition hits harder than fear. Daniel. Marissa's brother. The uncle Lily was told to trust. The world tilts. Ethan doesn't scream. He doesn't move. He watches as the truth finally takes shape, not a monster hiding in shadows, but one welcomed inside. The confrontation happens in the kitchen, calm, controlled, lethal. Marissa doesn't deny it when Ethan says Daniel's name. Her face collapses, not into panic, but resignation. She says she knew he was struggling, that he needed supervision, that she never thought he'd go that far. Ethan listens, numb, as she explains how his long hours made it easier, how Lily needed family, how secrets kept things stable. Every sentence is a knife wrapped in reason. Daniel is gone by the time police arrive, but not far. Ethan hands over everything: the burner phone, the crawlspace evidence, the deleted footage recovered with help from Richard. When officers cuff Daniel, he doesn't resist. He looks relieved. Marissa watches silently as they lead her brother away. When they turn back to her with questions, she finally breaks. Not for Lily. Not for Ethan. For the lie she can no longer control. By morning, the house is filled with strangers, detectives, forensic techs, social workers. Evidence bags line the counter. Lily sits wrapped in a blanket, holding Ethan's hand so tightly his fingers ache. Daniel is arrested before noon. Marissa is taken in for questioning soon after: obstruction, endangerment, complicity. As she's escorted out, she looks back at Ethan, searching for understanding. He offers none. The illusion of safety is gone, replaced by something harder and truer. Richard arrives quietly, standing beside his son, saying nothing, no vindication needed. Ethan finally understands what his father tried to teach him, that comfort is often the enemy of truth. The house will never be the same. But for the first time, Lily sleeps without fear, because the secret is no longer protecting the family. It's been destroyed. And that destruction, painful as it is the beginning of survival. The courtroom isn't dramatic. No gasps. No speeches. Just hours of testimony, documents, and measured voices. Ethan sits straight-backed beside his attorney, hands folded, listening as strangers dissect his family. He doesn't lash out. He doesn't perform grief. He answers questions plainly, steadily, about Lily's behavior, about the crawlspace, about the night everything broke open. Richard sits behind him every day, a quiet presence, offering strength without interference. Marissa's defense leans on nuance, ignorance, misjudgment, denial. The judge listens carefully. When custody is decided, it isn't framed as victory. It's responsibility. Full custody to Ethan. Supervised contact only, pending review. Ethan exhales for the first time in months. Not relief, resolve. This isn't about winning. It's about being the man Lily needs now. The man who doesn't look away. The man who stays. Healing is not linear. Lily's therapy sessions are slow, careful, built on trust and repetition. Some days she speaks freely. Other days she draws. Ethan sits nearby, not pushing, not fixing. Just present. He learns that safety isn't built through grand gestures but consistency. Breakfast together, bedtime routines, walking her to school even when he's late for work. Therapy changes him too. He confronts the belief that perfection protects children. It doesn't. Presence does. Richard joins them occasionally, awkward at first, then sincere. One evening, sitting on the porch as Lily plays nearby, Richard apologizes. Not defensively. Not with excuses. I didn't know how to protect you without control, he says. Ethan doesn't answer immediately. Then he nods. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It releases it. For the first time, 3 generations breathe the same air without fear. Marissa's sentencing is brief. No headlines. No speeches. The judge speaks plainly. Obstruction, failure to protect, complicity. The sentence is measured. Heavy. Real. Marissa listens without expression, hands folded, her composure finally cracking only when the gavel falls. Ethan doesn't attend every hearing. He doesn't need to. Justice, he's learned, doesn't require witnesses to be valid. On the day it ends, he takes Lily to the park. She laughs, a sound that once felt impossible. As evening settles, Ethan tucks her into bed. No fear. No hesitation. She closes her eyes easily. Later, Ethan stands in the doorway, watching, understanding something he never did before. Love isn't proven by endurance or sacrifice alone. It's proven by showing up when it's hardest. The house is quiet again. This time, it's real. Months later, the quiet feels different. Not tense. Not waiting. Just still. The new apartment is smaller, humbler, second floor, thin walls, faint city noise drifting in through cracked windows. Ethan stands in the hallway, listening to Lily breathe from behind her bedroom door. No whimpering. No restless turning. Just the steady rhythm of sleep. The kind he once feared she'd never know again. The room is softly lit by a night lamp shaped like a moon. Stuffed animals rest where they're placed, not arranged defensively. Ethan leans against the doorframe, exhausted in a way that feels earned. He thinks about the man he used to be, the one who believed safety was silence, that love meant not upsetting the balance. He knows now that peace built on avoidance isn't peace at all. It's just quiet suffering. This quiet, though, this one is real. And real quiet feels like a returning to the lungs. Before turning off the light, Ethan kneels beside Lily's bed. It's a habit he hasn't been able to let go of, a ritual shaped by memory, not fear. He lifts the edge of the bedspread and looks underneath. Just dust motes drifting through a narrow beam of light. An old coloring book. A sock Lily kicked off during sleep. Nothing hidden. Nothing waiting. He exhales slowly, not because he expected something, but because his body is finally learning it doesn't have to brace itself anymore. The past doesn't vanish. It settles. It becomes manageable. Ethan lowers the bedspread and sits on the floor for a moment longer, grounding himself in the ordinary. This is what healing looks like, he realizes. Not erasing what happened, but proving, every day, that it no longer controls the present. He stands, quieter than before, and turns off the light. Ethan pauses in the doorway one last time, watching Lily sleep. Her face is relaxed, unguarded, a child allowed to be a child again. He understands something now that once terrified him. Monsters don't always hide in darkness. Sometimes they hide in denial. In politeness. in the decision to stay quiet when something feels wrong. Ethan doesn't regret loving his family. He regrets choosing silence over courage for so long. He closes the door gently and leans his forehead against the wall, eyes closed. There is no music swelling. No dramatic release. Just acceptance. Just resolve. Tomorrow, he'll wake Lily for school. He'll make breakfast. He'll stay present. And that will be enough. The story ends not with fear, but with accountability, and the line that will stay with anyone who's ever ignored their instincts. The monster wasn't under my daughter's bed. It was the silence I kept choosing.